Property information and knowledge is key. So when it comes to recent sales, who actually owns that information? Let's talk about it.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minute, episode 456. Interesting topic this morning. Would love everybody's feedback and comments and suggestions. It's a topic that is definitely going to be more and more relevant with social media and how everyone likes to digest information, where we're moving away from a lot of print media into digital media. And one topic that agents love to talk about with their clients are recent sales. And I think we can all agree that as an agent, if there's a great sale on the court, let's say you've appraised one property in the street and another one sells, the first thing you're doing is calling your appraisal or anyone you know in that street, letting them know of that sale result, even if you weren't the sales agent. And you may sort of describe it as there was a recent sale, even when it came to letterbox drops. If you did the RP data report, you would post it out. You would just say these sales, these addresses, these prices. But where we get to an area where we want your feedback is where it comes to social media, where you may have a big following in a suburb, let's say Coleroy, DY, there's a great result, could be a shit result, and you want to produce that media to inform your followers, because as Mark said in the intro, education is key, knowledge is key, and people follow people for knowledge and information. So let's talk about it. Good morning, Mark.
Can I just get... Good morning. Sorry, just trying to...
you needed more time, the longest intro.
you got me. You know what? Really, a really contentious one, Burge, and probably something even you and I don't totally agree on, which is pretty rare.
Yep.
But I think what, as a community, and guys, what's going on here is stuff that's sold. You and I were saying this morning that when something gets sold, it's a really good message to the community. People love to know, what the other house down the road, up the road sold for. And what's happened is about 15 years ago, other agents started telling, saying, postcode of 2100, here are the houses that sold this year. And they weren't just giving their sales prices of properties they sold to the locals, and that really upset local real estate agents.
Yeah, exactly. So if we give Jazz good morning, Lisa good morning, so we'll just basically cut through it. Another agent sells a property on Saturday, great result, and you want the fastest way to get that out to the public. You could make phone calls, you could do the letterbox drop, but you could also post it on social media that address sold, especially if you're targeting the suburb as well. Is it as simple as posting the sold ad, doing your own text? That's sort of the way to go through it.
What does the community want, Burge? What are the people out there that are reading this stuff? Do they really care about the agent that's selling it, or do they really care about that's a big price for the area and thanks for the information? I like a news channel, I think
there's three categories. What does a vendor want, or a homeowner? What does a buyer
seller
want?
Doesn't want it advertised. A seller doesn't want it advertised.
What does the selling agent want, and what does another agent want? I think there's sort of four categories. And
what is the community? I think there's four. There's the community of people around the home and around the area. There's a buyer community, a seller community, and a local community. A community, I'd say, of people that like to know that information as a fourth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the community doesn't care who sold it. They just want to know the address, the price, and maybe a photo to see what it is so they can compare it to their property or can compare it to other properties. I think it's simple as that from the community point of view. If I'm an agent and a property sells on the weekend and I call an appraisal I've done in that street, I don't say I've sold it and I don't say who sold it. I just said it or the property sold for X amount. And I think most agents have done that. So if you're then posting...
So if you are talking to a client about another agent's sale in the local area, how do you say that to the client?
I say this property sold on the weekend for X price.
Do you always plug that agent? Do you plug that agent who sold it?
No, I don't say the agent by name. If they asked did I sell, I say another agent. And unless they ask specifically, I won't promote the other agent's name. But I won't claim the sale. I'll just say it sold.
Yeah. That's precisely what we're talking about this morning, guys. If you're trying to piece together what we're saying, so it's really interesting because it's changed. That I remember 15 years ago when I used to see a list of sales from another agency, they would say, these are the 22 houses that are sold in your suburb. And I'd go, hey, 10 of those are my bloody sales. But the person, you know what? It's a great saying. The person who gives the good information is always the one people remember.
Yeah, it's true. And I think if we, I'm on the fence. I know. So because I know when it says the news report the news, if Manly Daily reports a sale, they plug the agent. So this is where it comes to the community. Community doesn't care. The selling agent cares. Should another agent care? That's basically where we're at.
The seller doesn't want the price advertised. They don't want it or not. They're sort of almost embarrassed by it a little bit on most of occasions. They're like, well, how am I going to benefit from this price being out there? You know what? If Al Jazeera reports a bombing in some country, Channel 7 doesn't say, we just saw on Al Jazeera this, and we now want to give you the in-depth report. They're a competitor. They don't plug the competitor, the competing media agency. And it's interesting because us as real estate agencies, we're almost starting to act like media agencies in a way, but we're supplying media in our particular company. We're best at it.
So the question is, you're breaking up. So basically, the question to anyone watching would be, what do you feel and probably you're going to put yourself in two minds, one as a selling agent and one as another agent. When you would do a letterbox drop of the sales, I doubt you'd be putting who sold it. Therefore, if you're making a post on a Sunday or a Saturday afternoon after a great auction of a result in your area, would you, A, not post it and not give your community of followers the information, which therefore they've got to search it for someone else? B, post the sale and same as the phone call, not claim you sold it, but say it sold. Or C, say it sold, plug the other agent, and that's it. Or say it sold and just say it was with another agent. Is there a difference? Is there no difference? Is it more the agent's ego? I'm in the middle between this is where my view is, and it may change, it may not, but everyone has their own view.
Nobody owns that information.
Yep.
Like at the end of the day, it's public information that we're putting to our followers and our followers on our social media. If you don't like it, don't follow it. So we're letting our community know. If another agent sees that it's got the shits, I don't even want you on our feed. How am I going to make a living out of you reading my social media? I'm not. So at the end, and if you are, you've got a problem. What are you reading my stuff for? You should have plenty of stuff yourself to report. But, I think it goes even beyond that, Michael, where, you're not the hero when you get these hero prices for properties. Like, get your hand off it, Mr. Real Estate Agent. You are not the hero. COVID has done an amazing thing to property prices. The ocean on the northern beaches has done an amazing thing to property prices and growth. The wonderful city that we're in, the jobs, the stable political system that we offer in our country. All of these outside factors have created property crises. Not you, because you've turned up and dragged an auctioneer in and gathered all the buyers together. You've done a wonderful job. But at the end of the day, the property, whether it's 3 or 3.6 or 2 or 2.2 or 1 or 1.2, whatever that may be, you've done a wonderful job, but you've just called the market. We're not proud that you called the market. We're proud that the market is the market, that it's really good news for everyone around, that this is what people are paying for homes in our local area, guys.
Yeah, and if you did put yourself in a buyer's mind, if you wanted the only place because buyers and sellers don't have access to RP data, so without them going to realestate.com, which doesn't have every sale, if there was a page posting every sale in a suburb, then I think someone looking to buy or sell would want that data. So it's I think it's one of those. I think the way I see it, it could be one of those topics that half will agree, half won't agree, or ones who don't. Or it's just people can't get past, they want to see their name. Think about it. A lot of agents love seeing their name. And if they feel like
why am I going to
agree. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, but Michael, I've ran sales in Los Angeles when something sold for $122 million. I find that bloody incredible, and I'm running that sale. I don't care, and I'm not going to put on my social who's actually that. BJ Smith or Los Angeles Real Estate sold this. I don't care. What I care about is, wow, that's $122 million some cats paid for a property in Los Angeles. That's what I'm talking about this morning. That if we are seeing incredible results, for the community,
even shit results, it's regardless incredible. It's the information, good or bad.
Yeah,
in my view, if you're going to share, that's the thing.
But if I see something that I'm excited about, and I want to, that the community's paid, that the market's paid, and I want to let the community know. Not only that, my community. It's my social media channel that I'm putting it out there too. Unfollow if you don't like it, if you're another competitor or a real estate agent. But if you're, I find that, the amount of feedback and the amount of appraisals that sort of stuff generates through our business is mind-blowing. So I know we're doing the right thing.
Not to mention, if depending what you post, the community will probably Google it anyway, and it will go to that agent's page. That agent could always politely say, "Yeah, we were the selling agent." I'm sure that would be fine. So there's different ways. So I'm interested to hear back other people's views. Do they post recent sales? Do they plug agents? Do they not plug the other agent? Do they just not give the information to their community? Do you not call your database when something sells? Like, what do you do? Do you just ignore it? Do you ignore every other sale that you haven't done in the marketplace? Or do you share it verbally, physically, so on social? And how do you do? I think it's a big question there. And we'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah, when we go and do an appraisal for a client, we give them recent sales of properties we sold. We don't tell them what other agents sold it.
Yeah.
We don't put in our proposal, these are the 4 sales that are sold in the area and all 4 have not been sold by us. It's dumb. You just don't plug the other agent. But I'll tell you what a good sport is. What a good sport is, in my opinion, and I know we're inviting feedback on this, guys. But my opinion, I had one happen recently where the actual agent that sold the property congratulated himself, his team, and he's auctioneer. Guess what I did?
What?
I wrote, well done.
Yeah.
Like, great job, well done, great job for the community. Like, great job for the local area, I think I wrote on that. But, you know, I think, like, good on you, mate. Like, well done. And if you've read the post and, you know, you want to congratulate yourself and your team on that, not going to hide it either. But you know what? It's actually going to generate more. If these guys think about it a little bit, it's going to generate even more for their business, for themselves, because all the customer has to do is Google the address, and they'll see that perhaps in some circumstances we haven't sold the property. They'll still make that consumer decision of where they want to go. We're not taking that decision away.
Yeah, and you're not representing you sold it. It's that it sold. That is a big differential, and I don't think a lot of agents will read past that. They'll just think you're claiming their sale, but you're just reporting the suburb. People have different opinions, hence the discussion.
Congratulating the suburb, congratulating the price, yes.
But also, if there's more people, if everyone's doing it and there's more spotlight on a suburb, therefore more buyers look at a suburb, everybody wins. And since when do owners call in generally one agent for an appraisal? They're generally calling 2 or 3. They'll refer to realestate.com. So, yeah, all righty.
Well, that's a really good point. We're celebrating a result to our social media community who aren't necessarily on the northern beaches. So I may have a buddy in Melbourne go, mate, your area looks like it's on fire. I want to buy a unit in DY as an investment. Can you hook us up? Because he's seen all these good results and he's going, wow, that's good. So you're right, we're plugging it.
Yeah. And it's just a bit more public. Like, what would be the difference of an agent doing a letterbox drop today of all the DY sales last week? Photo, price, address. This is what sold last week. On social media, just like it was when properties were first listed for sale. Everyone was like, oh, no, you got to use the portals. It's something different. We've always said, a lot of people have always said social media is the digital letterbox drop. So what else did your letterbox drop? Market data, recent sales, personal marketing, all that stuff.
15 years ago, I was furious when I saw other agents report my sales. I didn't like it. I just like, that's shit, that's rotten. And then after a while, I was just like, you know what? Everyone's doing it. It is what it is. Like, whatever.
Anyway, so that's a wrap. Interesting. Right.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
He's 13 in Sydney, getting a bit cold in the mornings.
Beautiful.
See you, man.